The number one gaming device of this decade, 2010 to 2019, is the iPhone. This is the device, the number one gaming device of this decade, in my opinion. The gaming device of the decade, in my opinion. And the reason why I say this, and by extension, the iPad, and you could say Android as well. But we're gonna go with iPhone because of the consistency and the quality of the games and the iPad. But it is essentially smartphones. They have a mainstream device that's in the hands of a lot of people, and the way they have the distribution set up, there's no need for physical copies. You don't have that cost of putting out copies for every. Even though I know CDs are cheap, cheap to get your hands on in bulk and send things out. So we're talking pennies essentially, but you don't have that additional cost of producing each game. You make it once for your iPhone, iPad, Android, you distribute it. No extra cost involved. Just the cost of creating the game, be it time, be it employees, etc., office space, etc. And this is a model that's essentially upgraded every year, and the games are still transferable, still backwards compatible, with a few exceptions when they don't update it to work with the newest version of iOS or Android. But most of it's still there. The games you had back in 2010 still gonna be good in 2019. It's a large collection of games, large collection of apps, a large collection of games coming from major studios, independent people, independent studios that became major players in the video game industry and in pop culture in general. We've seen what happened with Flappy Bird, that one guy. We've seen Angry Bird with that team and how it led to other products and movies. We've had games that used engines that were on consoles. Infinity Blade, enjoyable game. I hope you get Infinity Blade 2 and 3. Riptide GP. We had in the same vein as the Jet Motos, Wave Race, Wipeouts of the world, brought to mobile. And this actually made touch a viable option for gaming. We've been so used to controllers, joysticks, buttons at the arcade that touch was reserved more for physical games, board games, card games, slot machines, if you will, things of that nature. So we had the touch come into play, the gyroscope when you're turning things, and you get a different experience. You feel really hands on with your game, more involved. It's not as passive. Yes, it can be passive, and it's still somewhat passive, but you're actually tapping your hand around. You're moving your phone depending on the game. So that's a different element to it, an added element to gaming. This is the element that's probably going to be the first to get VR somewhat mainstream. Yes, we've seen it with traditional consoles. We've seen it with phones to a degree so far, but it'll probably be this phone, something casual where you can see VR games, augmented reality. The phone came through, your Pokemon Go's of the world, Ingress, etc. So with those AR games, this phone has come in handy. It's in a lot of people's hands. You can have casual games, and you have some more intense games, if you will, something on the lines of the Game Boys, PS Vitas, PS Portables of the world. You get good graphics, and it gets better every phone. And it's up to the developer if they want to use that. You can still get good life out of it. This is the 5C right here. And I essentially keep it around for Riptide GP and other games as well. Like you can say it's my gaming iPhone. I have an iPhone and an Android. That would be my daily driver. Well, that are essentially my daily driver. And this one right here, 5C for gaming. Got Fruit Ninja, Riptide GP, Skyforce, Dumb Ways to Die. Dumb Ways was a was a good game. A game that you found that went somewhat popular through the internet culture and review sites, and people picked up on that. It was a good game, interesting game, and I would just buy the transportation department somewhere in Australia. Smash hit, 3D pinball game, the Candy Crushers, and that's been on other online platforms, the Temple Runs. So, Skyforce, I may have mentioned that. I already mentioned Infinity Blade. So what you have here is a good selection of games that touch on different genres. You can get RPGs, racing games. There's everything. And the way the pricing structure is, people are gonna probably download more games. You have ads that can be used as revenue. Obviously, microtransactions have gone into console gaming and PC gaming as well. So it's similar to PC gaming in that, well, majority of PC gaming nowadays is digital. This is just natively digital. There was never physical media for these phones. So they already have that locked into people's mind. So when 2019 comes around, I could easily, 2019, 2020, easily seeing the iPads, these iPhones competing, especially the iPad, competing with the next generation of consoles. You can easily overtake them when you think about it. You can definitely get the critical mass, even if you charge these lower prices, usually under $10. So you don't have to charge $60 for these games, getting up people's hands, and people just want to try it out, and you can still make ad revenue. So yeah, the iPhone, the iPad, but the iPhone, this device right here, the gaming device of the decade. This is a device of the decade. This is a gaming device of the decade. I'm calling it right now, into 2018. But we know this is what it is. Device of the decade. It'll get even better. I expect more from the next decade. I expect again the photorealism and the way Apple's pushing things. It'll be there. It'll be competing with the next generation of consoles. It'll run all the major engines from these studios. Independent people will do well. It's a great thing. Great device. Easy for anyone to really get into. Because development kits, you get Android Studio, you get Xcode, and you have people out there that have other platforms online that can help you create certain things, get your vision out there as well. You can get a game or app easily on this device. Major steals to everybody, democratized pretty well. Even though iOS has one app store without jailbreaking, Android gives you more options. But this is the device, no doubt about it. Gaming device of the decade, iPhone. Yeah. Iceberg Jim out. That's my 2 cents. Iceberg Jim out. Deuces.